Nitrosis full. I started here. Ready to be started.
Only nutrition. Only nutrition.
Only nutrition. Where's the attendance sheet? Signed already? Attendance sheet? You did not get the attendance sheet for signing? Go and get it. Fast. Fast. इस तरफ आ जाओ. Move. मेरा आ जाओ. इधर आ. We were talking about, I think for all of your schools, nitrosis, either one part of it or both the parts already there, no, in your exam. When is your exam? July.
26 June. 26 July.
Okay. Very fast. Enough. Very fast. We'll take a short revision and then we move ahead with heredity. Heredity, the other day I have just introduced some terms. We'll go ahead with the chapter. Rituraj. What is that enzyme which helps in digestion of proteins in the stomach? Digestion of proteins in the stomach. No discussion. If you know the answer, very good. Put your hands down. Digestion of proteins in the stomach. Digestion of proteins. Huh? No. No. What is the answer? Pepsin. Pepsin is the enzyme which helps in digestion of protein in the stomach. What is the nature of the diaphragm during inhalation and exhalation? Flattened and एक और word लिखना जरूरी होता है. The diaphragm dash and flattens. What did I tell you to write? The diaphragm, right? The diaphragm relax का opposite. जब मैंने ना बोला है तो relax का opposite ही होना है. Diaphragm contracts and flattens, and exhalation में becomes curved. Next is Gufran. What is the definition of emulsification of fat? What is emulsification of fat?
Emulsification basically means breaking down into simpler molecules.
No. What is the definition of emulsification? Think what you have studied.
Breakdown of fats into smaller molecules, smaller globules.
With the help of no prompting. You can tell me the answer when I ask you. With the help of, where does this process take place? Small intestine. With the help of bile salts. With the help of bile salts. Divyanshi, what is alcoholic fermentation? Define karo at least. What is alcoholic fermentation? did you understand?
What is the process which takes place in the absence of oxygen?
Takes place मतलब what takes place?
Respiration.
What are you supposed to write? I told you repeatedly. It takes place नहीं लिखना है. What are you supposed to write? The breakdown of takes place
In the absence of
oxygen and results in the formation of
alcohol.
which alcohol? Ethanol or ethyl alcohol. Give me two examples of organisms that show anaerobic respiration. Umera. Examples, two examples of organisms that show anaerobic respiration. No?
Yeast.
Huh? Bacteria, yeast show anaerobic respiration. Animal tissue that show anaerobic respiration. Name a specific type of animal tissue that show anaerobic respiration. Sorry. Animal tissue that shows anaerobic respiration. ये 5 मिनट का रिवीजन है, इतना टाइम नहीं सोचना है. How will I proceed then? Animal tissue that shows anaerobic respiration. Animal tissue that shows anaerobic respiration. Devanshu, animal tissue that shows anaerobic respiration. One example, एक ही example सीखना है तुम लोगों ने. One example of animal tissue that shows anaerobic respiration. Abhishek, one animal tissue that shows anaerobic respiration. Animal tissue, bacteria. Who can tell me this answer? Huh? Epithelial कहाँ? Did we study epithelial at all? What type of tissue we have studied which shows anaerobic respiration? During vigorous muscular exercise. When you are running, jumping, hopping. Muscular tissues. Muscular tissues, animal tissue which show anaerobic respiration. What is the product form? What is the product formed at that time? Anaerobic respiration in muscle tissue produces what? Lactic acid and ATP. Lactic acid and ATP. Kaushik, blood vessels, blood vessels, pulmonary artery and pulmonary vein. Function क्या है? What is the function of pulmonary artery? From? नहीं, pulmonary artery carry deoxygenated blood from? सुनो, किसी का सुनना मत लाइफ में, हमेशा अपना दिमाग लगाना सब चीज में. सुनोगे तो गलती करोगे. They are saying lungs to heart, which is wrong. It is heart to lungs. Pulmonary artery carries deoxygenated blood from heart to lungs. तो pulmonary vein क्या होगा? Lungs to heart. Virat, I've asked. नहीं. Valves present on the right and the left side of the heart.
Or
Tricuspid which side?
right. And tricuspid on the
What is their function?
or to prevent the backflow of blood.
Prevent the backflow of the blood. Astha. What is defined for a 1 mark answer? What is double circulation?
WC is the process which
Blood enters the heart twice.
enters the heart twice.
ये समझना है, immediately याद आना चाहिए. Double circulation is the process in which blood enters the heart twice, once in the right side as deoxygenated, and again in the left side as oxygenated to go to the body tissues. Name the largest artery of the body. Aorta. Largest artery of the body, aorta. Akshita. Tell me one major difference between cellular respiration and breathing. Just tell me cellular respiration. What is cellular respiration? What does it give rise to? Remember anything? Breathing क्या है? What did you learn about breathing? What is breathing? नहीं? What is breathing? Breathing is, how will you define, how did we write down the definition? What is breathing? Taking in air till the कहाँ तक जाएगा? Air that you are inhaling वो last कहाँ तक जा सकता है? Till the lungs and giving out air from the lungs. Giving out air from the lungs. What is inhalation? Taking in of air into the lungs and giving out air from the lungs. Inhalation. Which part of the respiratory system has rings of cartilage? Trachea. It is the trachea which has got the rings of cartilage. Rudra Pratap. What is one major difference between the aorta and the... Tell me two special features of villi. Villi. Two special features of villi. How are villi designed to carry out absorption? This is what you are asked. You have to elaborate. Now I am only asking, tell me the points that you have to write. Two special features of villi. Single layer of epithelial cells. Single layer of epithelial cells. Rujul, what is meant by absorption?
Means
Where is it happening? Absorption. Where is absorption happening? In which part of our body? Absorption is related to nutrition. Yes or no? The absorption last section में हमने पढ़ा था with concept of nutrition. The last section was absorption. So where is absorption happening? Which part of the digestive system? Small intestine. So small intestine में special structures को क्या बोलेंगे? Which help in the process of absorption? Villi. Villi. So villi are the special structures which help in the absorption. What are the simplest forms of carbohydrate digestion? What is the simplest form of carbohydrate digestion? Simplest form of fat digestion? Fatty acids and glycerol. How many ATP molecules are produced during aerobic respiration? 38 ATP. One cell organelle very much necessary for aerobic respiration to take place? Mitochondria. What is glycolysis?
Process of breakdown of sugar.
Glucose. Glucose to
form carbon dioxide.
bus. Carbon dioxide. Glucose to
form energy.
Glucose to क्या? Glycolysis. What is glycolysis?
Fire.
Breakdown of huh? Pyruvic acid. Breakdown of
The
glucose to pyruvic acid. That is what is known as glycolysis. Vessels that carry blood away from the heart. Vessels, arteries. Only vein which carry oxygenated blood. राजदीप को मैंने क्वेश्चन ही नहीं पूछा. अरे किसको नहीं पूछा? कहाँ पूछा मैंने उसको? नहीं पूछा था.
वो पासिंग क्वेश्चन था.
अच्छा. What are the three processes which help in the filtration of the blood? वो description में नहीं पूछी. Only the terms you tell me correctly. Major three processes. Did you go through that part? No. अच्छा चलो. What is cellular respiration? इतना तो अभी आना ही चाहिए. Respiration you've done last month. What is cellular respiration? She already told half of it, but she did not complete her answer. Bolo complete. This is important. This you definitely should know. What is cellular respiration? What is broken down in cellular respiration? Respiration में क्या breakdown हो रहा है? Glucose. So cellular respiration मतलब क्या है? Glucose to form what? And carbon dioxide, water and ATP. इसको cellular क्यों बोलते हैं? Because it is taking place inside every cell of the body. Cellular respiration. Which blood vessel connects the artery and the vein? आता है? शायद क्या होता है? Which blood vessel connects artery and vein? Diagram आता है and you have to label. Which blood vessel connects the artery and the vein? Capillaries. Capillaries के दो features बताओ. आता है तुम्हें? पढ़ोगे कब? When? दिवाली खत्म होने के बाद. कब प्लानिंग क्या है? कब से स्टार्ट करना है? अभिषेक कब से स्टार्ट करना है? हाँ कर लिया. How many of your parents are yelling at you to sit and study? एकदम सच बोलना. बेशरम. Yelling at you to sit and study.
No, you already studied. They still concentrate at one time, sit for at least 1.5 hours.
That much you are not able to do.
What was your question?
How many of your parents are still yelling at you and shouting at you to sit and study? बेटा थोड़ा बैठ जा, थोड़ा पढ़ तो ले. If we are in June now, yelling. So proudly all of you are raising your hands also. Did you understand my question? मम्मी पापा चिल्लाते हैं सारा दिन कि बेटा बैठो एंड अभी पढ़ो.
पढ़ने के बाद भी अगर उनको लगे नहीं हुआ तो भी चिल्लाएंगे.
कितना अच्छा सेम कहानी तेरे जैसा मेरा भी है. हाँ क्या सिंपैथी चल रहा है एक दूसरे के साथ. स्वरेट न्यूज़ क्या है तुम्हारा? Parents are yelling at you to sit and study. First test. How many tests over so far? साइंस का एक भी हुआ है टेस्ट?
दो.
फिजिक्स हो गया, केमिस्ट्री हो गया. कितने मार्क्स मिल रहे हैं? 14 तो हुआ नहीं अभी. फिजिक्स केमिस्ट्री में फिजिक्स में कितना मिल रहा है? 30 on 15. 10 के नीचे कितने हैं? shameless
फिजिक्स या केमिस्ट्री
फिजिक्स 10 के नीचे कितने हैं स्टार्ट करो ऑस्पिशियस डे देखना है अभी कोई मम्मी को बोलो कोई अच्छा सा दिन तारीख देखे तुम्हारे लिए एंड देन स्टार्ट करो फिर स्टार्ट करो it's June already almost mid of June July you will have one exam and after that it will be rush by September here syllabus over September October तक हमारा गाना खत्म है before the school you should finish up the syllabus as we are going you also have to go ahead we are finishing the chapters you are not reading when I ask you questions ये जो मैं 5-5 मिनट का रिवीजन लेती हूँ here you should just answer and rather ask me another 5 doubts कैसे होगा पढ़ोगे तभी तो doubts होगा और doubts कब होगा in the month of December when you open your books that time I will not answer any doubts December तक मेरा holiday चालू हो जाता है now at that time no doubts I am on a holiday Read, start reading again and again I'm telling you. You are coming here spending so much of time after school, see that the results, every exam should be worth. Every exam should be worth. You all are smarter than us, no? Next generation. तो पढ़ाई के मामले में why we have to yell at you, shout at you? Sit and study. You know that you have to study this much. Exam है इतना पढ़ना है and again let me tell you in all your schools CBSE that is the trend every time now they will give you just kiddish chapters ये 3 पेज पढ़ के एग्जाम हो गया 4 पेज पढ़ के एग्जाम हो गया and now later you will see in your third term and the first prelims the entire chapter will be पूरा syllabus रहेगा so if you don't study regularly and if you are not able to follow with our pace it's no point actually coming and sitting here you are almost going with the pace of your school अभी भी काफी लोगों ने न्यूट्रिशन अच्छी तरह से पढ़ा भी नहीं होगा how many of you have read the concept of or the nutrition and respiration part of life processes twice how many of you read respiration nutrition and respiration एक बार या 2 बार हर एक chapter minimum 6 to 8 times you have to study if you want to solve the entire question paper if you want to get a reasonable mark and science में let me tell you CBSE science getting 100 anybody can do it जिन लोगों को 100 मिल रहा है they are nothing exceptional उन लोगों ने थोड़ा बहुत May month से पढ़ाई start किया so that's the reason they are able to CBSE Science 10 very easy almost all the subjects जो तुम लोग portion पढ़ते हो ICSE वाले 5th में पढ़ते so please start you all will get up only by the month of September and then your doubts and then your confusion starts so why not make it be serious now right from the first exam the next class when I ask you question जिसको भी नहीं आएगा मैं सीधा बाहर करूंगी वो पार्ट पढ़ के आओ and then I give you that answer to write for 5 times and then only I'll tell Meena she also remains prepared read no at least I'm asking certain questions I'm expecting मैंने अगर अभी 20-25 questions पूछा है उसमें से 7-8 correct answers मुझे इजीली मिलना चाहिए था hardly 3-4 questions correctly at one shot I got and others so I had to give you clues I had to tell you the answer ये नहीं होना चाहिए अभी I am asking you questions जो मैंने पिछले महीने पढ़ाया है अप्रैल में पढ़ाया है मई में फर्स्ट वीक में पढ़ाया है वो तो अभी by this time एक बार तो you should have gone through then only you understand कि these are some doubts okay I will clarify with ma'am again Get started. Again I tell you. आज फिर से मैं बोल रही हूँ. Go through. छोटा portion ले लो. Nutrition, half of it. Go through. Another part. Go through. In your school exam, it is only one part of nutrition. वो तो आराम से you should be thorough with it and go ahead. हाँ? life process. So then you should be now quite thorough. If next month is your exam and you don't even know which is that enzyme which is present in the stomach and what is the concept of emulsification, तो कैसे होगा? ये तो basic questions है, ये तो आएगा नहीं पेपर लाके दिखाना. The ones which I am asking in the class, are these the questions in your paper? 90% will be. वही diagram leveling आने वाला है, वही questions पूछे जाने वाला है. Next time I take the oral test. If you are not able to answer me, और सबको मैंने एक दो क्वेश्चन पूछा है. Some of you not able to answer this question. I asked you another question. वो भी नहीं आ रहा है. Now we talk about the concept of heredity. What is meant by heredity and transmission of characteristics? To understand the concept of heredity, we'll have to start with one particular cell. To understand the concept of heredity, we start with one particular cell. Now, here, whenever we are talking about one particular cell, I start with this cell. The cell has got the nucleus. What is present inside the nucleus? The nucleus will be having fine thread-like structures. I told you this the other day. This is what we will term as chromatin fibers. These chromatin fibers, if I draw something like this, which are extensively long, thin, coiled, this particular cell has got 20 chromatin threads or 30 chromatin threads. Under the microscope you are not able to see because they are all tangled. Fine long thread-like structures, tangled like a ball of wool. We cannot count them. I would say we cannot count them if the cell is a newly formed cell. If it is a newly formed cell matlab just after division. Just after division, a newly formed cell will always have long, thin chromatin threads. But now that the cell is maturing, the cell is growing bigger, the cell is maturing. So now next one, these chromatin threads also undergoing the process of coiling, also known as condensation. Coiling. They undergo coiling and result in the formation of structure something like this, quite broad, short. So it is something like this that I am drawing. They are extensively coiled, long. They are extensively coiled. Now when heads they appear shorter, they look broader. What are these structures now known as? These are known as chromosomes. What is the definition of the word chromosome? Chromosomes are extensively coiled chromatin threads, fibers. What is the definition of the word chromosome? Take it down. Write down the name of the chapter. What is the definition of chromosomes? Extensively coiled chromatin threads. Extensively coiled chromatin threads. Chromosomes are extensively coiled chromatin threads. Now, I want to understand what is the composition of this chromatin. What is the composition of the chromosome? And then we come across that. Who is missing it now? Extensively coiled chromatin fibers. Fibers, yeah, threads. दोनों ही correct है. So I said, what is the definition? Chromosomes क्या है? Chromosomes. How will we define chromosomes? What are chromosomes? Extensively coiled chromatin threads. या तो extensively coiled chromatin fibers. Now the next thing is, we want to know that what is present inside the chromatin. DNA. What is the composition of the chromatin? वैसे तो whether I talk about this fine thread-like structure, is this fine thread-like structure getting converted to form this? Yes. So composition क्या है? The composition is nothing but double helical structure. It's a ribbon-like structure which is a complex molecule. ये chromatin के अंदर क्या है? Chromosome के अंदर क्या है? What is it made up of? ये जो threads है, what are they made up of? some ribbon-like structures, and these ribbon-like structures consist of two threads connected by certain bonds, and this is what we are going to term as DNA. What is the full form? Deoxyribonucleic acid. So what is the chemical nature of DNA? Acidic. So what is the chemical nature of DNA? Acidic. So what is the full form? Deoxyribonucleic acid.
And the DNA is bigger in size than the chromosome.
No, whatever the length of the DNA, that is the length of the chromosome. When we are talking about the DNA, DNA is the chemical composition of the chromosome. Chromosome किससे बना है? DNA से बना है. The chemical composition. So now that we are talking about the DNA, how does the DNA look like? It is a ribbon-like structure, as it. It is a ribbon-like structure, as it, made up of two threads and extensively coiled. So we could also say that this is the double helical DNA. इसको helical क्यों कहा जाता है? Because it is coiled and wavy. It is coiled and wavy. That's why helical, double helical DNA. It is known as helical, meaning it is coiled and wavy. It is not straight. Then what is it made up of? It is made up of certain chemical components. It is made up of certain chemical components. So all throughout the DNA, I would say, all throughout the DNA, there are some chemical components. Just like if I compare that the carbohydrates are made up of glucose, protein chains are made up of amino acids, like that exactly. The DNA is also made up of some repeating units. And what are these repeating units known as? These are known as nucleotides. Composition for you all not needed. Nucleotides के भी काफी सारे composition होते हैं, वो नहीं चाहिए. But this word you have to remember. What is the DNA made up of? Some repeating units, as if like beads in a chain, flowers in a garland, that we understand. So exactly that. What are the repeating units of the DNA known as? Nucleotides. Nucleotides because components से बनता है. So you have to understand that the nucleotides are the repeating units of the DNA. Now this is the entire length of the DNA.
So the nucleotides are the characters.
No, nucleotides are just like amino acids which form the protein chain. Nucleotides are just like the glucose that forms the carbohydrate molecule. Nucleotides are the components which make the DNA molecule. DNA क्या है? It's a complex molecule. What is DNA? It's a complex molecule. That's the reason it is also known as a macromolecule. इसको macromolecule बोला जाता है because it's a big complex molecule. Now we have to understand that every segment of the DNA, I would say, now this is one part of the DNA. This is another part of the DNA, this is another part of the DNA, another part of the DNA, another part of the DNA, and so on. So I would say that this segment of the DNA, इसको क्या बोल सकते हैं? This is known as a gene. And I may see that this part of or this segment of the DNA is responsible for the height. Maybe this part of the DNA is responsible for the eye color. Maybe this part of the DNA is responsible for the shape of the eye or the nose, etc., 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 anything that you can think of. So what am I saying is that whenever we look into the entire DNA, the DNA is almost the length of the chromosome to understand. So this entire DNA can be divided into segments. हर एक segment एक particular character को regulate करता है. So that is what I'm saying. Every particular segment of the DNA is responsible for one character that we show. Now, so many characters for us, hundreds and hundreds of characters to talk about. Talk about the texture of the hair and the color of the skin and the color of the eye and the amount of the hemoglobin and the amount of the pepsin and so many things. So when we are talking about that these segments of the DNA, what to write? What are these segments known as? Genes. How do we define this word genes? What is a gene? Gene is a functional segment of the DNA. Gene is a functional segment of the DNA that encodes a protein and regulates a specific character What did I write? What is a gene? Gene is a specific segment of the DNA. What is a gene? Gene is a segment of the DNA. A particular segment of the DNA for one particular character. Now, if I say the other way also, I would say this way, that this particular segment, let me understand this particular segment. This is a gene, yes. This gene is responsible for a particular protein. Let me understand. A particular protein may be now melanin. And is this melanin now responsible for the skin color? Yes. And this is not only true for the skin color. I gave you a very simple example so that you are able to relate. If I talk about any type of a feature that we show, eye color, hair texture, shape of the eye, shape of the nose, shape, length of the bones, etc., etc., any character that we can think of, this relation is always there. One gene, one protein, one character. हमारे DNA में whatever number of genes are there, every specific gene will code for a protein. Encode मतलब एक protein का information रखता है वो. This particular gene has a information for एक protein का. It will have information for one protein and उस protein पे वो character depend होता है. That's what we write. What is the definition of the word gene? A functional segment of DNA that encodes a protein. मतलब क्या? एक प्रोटीन का इंफॉर्मेशन उसमें है. कौन सा प्रोटीन बनेगा? मेलानिन बनेगा कि पेप्सिन बनेगा, etc., etc. And based on that, the particular character. So that is the definition. But now I'm talking about this word character. Then what is a character? What is a character? When we are talking about in the concept of biology, character is not how rude you are or how polite you are. That is not a character. In case of biology, in the concept of biology, what is the skin color? That's a character. What is the eye color? That's a character. What is your height? That's the character. All physical features plus how much of the hemoglobin present inside the body, how much of the growth hormone present in the body, that's also a character. When we are talking about characters, number one, character in case of biology can be of three types. One is, I may understand, character in the biological concept can be any type of anatomical character. This is just to understand. I may talk about any type of physiological character. Don't get by these words. Just to understand. And I am talking about any type of behavioral character. मतलब क्या है? Character मतलब what is your height? That is a character. What is the color of your eye? That's a character. How much of the hemoglobin? How much of the pepsin? That's also a character. That's the reason all of us we don't have the same amount of hemoglobin and melanin and pepsin and trypsin. All different. Behavioral characteristics. What is it? Is it again a character? Yes. Behavioral characteristic. Yes. How tolerant you are, how rude you are, how short-tempered you are, whether you like orange or you don't like orange, whether you like reading or you like traveling. All this is biologically explained. So character don't only understand English में अगर मैं character की बात करूँ तो how rude or polite only that much. Biology में everything. Biology में everything. What is the shape of our nose? ये भी character है. How much of ADH in the blood, वो भी character है. And I don't love pink at all, वो भी एक character है. Everything is character. So now, when we are talking about what is character, let us pick up one example to understand the rest of the concept. I may talk about one particular example, character. I say that character can be, there is one particular gene which controls a character eye color. One particular gene which controls character eye color. In human population, what are the different forms of eye color? Normal eye color? Brown, blue, green, black. What are the normal types of eye color? So I would say eye color in human population are of three types. I would say brown. Normally three types. Rest, if I talk about the red and the hazel and the green and all these are all mutant eye colors. इसको mutant बोलते हैं. Mutant मतलब when the DNA shows some error होने के बाद जो defective protein बनती है, defective protein की वजह से जो eye color है, this is due to some changes in the DNA. So this is not the normal eye color. And as a reason, these eye colors are comparatively rare. Where
does it like that help from our parents or the side physiological?
Anatomical. Health is partly when you are talking about physiological because of the function of the enzymes, proteins also, and height and everything that will come under anatomy, the structure. The entire concept is genetics. ये पूरा genetics.
For example, diabetes and all that is happening.
Diabetes, a condition where it runs in the family, so it is a genetic disorder partly. But a person may also start developing genetics all of a sudden first in the family. So now we'll talk about that. First of all, let us try understanding. I had already started talking about the word character. मैंने तुमको बोला था ना विराट इधर आके बैठो. एनसीईआरटी में देख लो. क्या देख रहे हो एनसीईआरटी में? मैं जो एक्सप्लेन कर रही हूँ ये सीक्वेंस तुमको एनसीईआरटी में मिलेगा ही नहीं. इधर आके बैठो. Now, when we are talking about the word character, what I said, are you able to understand the relation? First of all, we understood what is gene. What is the meaning of the word gene? Any segment of the DNA which regulates a character. So now I'm saying तो character का क्या मतलब है? Character मतलब our height, the color of the hair, the color of the skin, the structure of the finger, the amount of the hemoglobin, सभी characters है in the concept of biology. I pick up one character as an example. एक particular character eye color. अब ये character in human population and every character, कोई भी एक character ले लो. Is it only in one form in the entire population? नहीं, उसके variety रहते हैं. We say it is in different forms. I am talking about the eye color as a character. Forms क्या है? Brown है, and then black है, and then what is the next? I talk about blue. Normal eye colors only we are considering. We are not talking about any rare eye colors now. Brown, blue, black. If I consider one particular gene to regulate the eye color, for an example, I talk about B as a gene. Why did I suddenly talk about B? Because genes are basically designated either by letters or by numbers. Genes को हमेशा letters या numbers से ही designate किया जाता है. So that's why I picked up this letter B to designate the gene, designate the eye color, the character. And now I want to know that ये जो different forms of the character है, एक particular character की different forms, ये forms को क्या बोलेंगे? What are these forms of the character known as? The forms of the character are known as traits. What is character? It can be the shape, form, structure of an organism. It can be the shape, form, structure of an organism. अब वो जो shape, form, structure of an organism है, in any population when we study, it is not the same all over the population. No, height, when I say, is it 5.2 for all of us? Variable. I talk about the skin color. Is it the same for all of us? No. All of us sitting here, we may apparently look similar with our skin tone, but placed close by, you will see there's a lot of difference. Undertones. No, I'm not talking about the beauty part. I'm not bothered about the beauty part. Now, when we are talking about this, when we look into this concept, gene, what is gene? Segment जो एक character को regulate कर रहा है. This character has got 3 forms. ये 3 forms को क्या बोलेंगे? Traits. Different forms of a character. What is the definition? What are you understanding? Traits क्या है? Different forms of character. तो अगर ये gene B अगर eye color को regulate करता है and B has the capacity to regulate eye color, but eye color के तो different forms है, तो ये gene के भी different forms होने चाहिए. आ रहा है समझ में? तो I would say ये है for brown, ये है for black and ये है for blue. वही B के different forms, एक जीन के डिफरेंट फॉर्म्स डिफरेंट कैरेक्टर्स को रेगुलेट कर रहा है. बट कैन आई एक्सप्लेन लाइक दिस कि ये जो बी है वो ब्राउननेस रेगुलेट करता है एंड BL एंजाइम पेप्सिन रिस्पांसिबल है. इज दैट एनी रिलेशन? एब्सोल्युटली एब्सर्ड. आई एम सेइंग ट्राई अंडरस्टैंडिंग एक जीन एक कैरेक्टर. उस जीन को हमने डेजिग्नेट किया एक लेटर देके, बट ये कैरेक्टर के तो डिफरेंट फॉर्म्स होते हैं. 3 फॉर्म्स नाउ वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट. तो ये जीन के भी फॉर्म्स होने चाहिए ना. आ रहा है समझ में? सो व्हाट आर दीस फॉर्म्स ऑफ द जीन नोन एज एलील्स? व्हाट आर द फॉर्म्स ऑफ द जीन नोन एज एलील्स? ALLELES. Now you have written down the definition of gene. Write down the definition of alleles next. What are alleles? Forms of genes. हाँ, उसका proper definition ये लिखेंगे. Alternate forms. Alternate forms of a gene that regulate the same character. Same character regulate कर रहा है कि different character? Same character but different traits. Forms, हाँ, different traits. Are you understanding? यहाँ तक समझ में आया कि नहीं? आया समझ में? Doubt है? Doubt है? So we understood gene क्या है? What is gene? एक segment of the DNA. वो segment of the DNA एक character को regulate करता है. Any character. I picked up eye color as a character. अब वही eye color के different forms होते हैं human population में. So I said what are the normal? Brown है, black है, blue है. तो ये gene के भी different forms होने चाहिए. I go back to the previous concept again. अब ये जो cell है और ये जो cell है, I try to see that how would the chromosomes appear in a cell. If this is the cell and I want to see the chromosomes in the nucleus, we would always say that the chromosomes are in pairs. बता सकते हो क्यों? Because how many chromosomes we have in our cells? 23 pairs. तो हो गया 46. 23 pairs मतलब 46. So I would say that in human there are 23 pairs मतलब 46. तो ये pairs में क्यों है? One from the mother and one from the father. Paternal, maternal. तो इसीलिए pairs रहता है. And now that we are going to learn the concept of genetics, यही concept को हम ऐसे sticks के through draw करते हैं. Clear है what I told you? In our cells, chromosomes are always paired. 9th chromosome paired है, 12th chromosome paired है, 3rd chromosome paired है. Are you understanding what I'm telling you? 30th chromosome सब paired condition में होता है. Only during division they split up. Split up हो गया and 2 cells form हो गया. So now I want to understand this situation where I'm saying in every cell of our body, whether it is the bone cell, muscle cell, cell of the stomach, cell of the intestine, cell of the pancreas, cell of the neuron, any part of the body that you can remember, यही paired condition में chromosomes रहता है. How many pairs in the cells of our bones? वही 23 pairs. How many chromosomes in the cells of our liver and kidney and etc. etc. वही 23 pairs. तो pair क्यों? क्योंकि we have got one set of chromosome from the father and one set of chromosome from the mother.
हम तो traits और alleles same हो गए.
नहीं, कैसे alleles same हो गए? So alleles है different forms of genes. और traits हो गया different forms of character. ये भी लिख के रखो.
आई कलर का कैरेक्टर है बाकी सब.
आई कलर कैरेक्टर हो गया और उसके traits हो गए blue, brown. कहाँ जा रहे हो तुम?
Specific for I only traits.
हाँ, ये लिख के रखो, फिर कंटिन्यू करें. What are traits? Different forms of a character. रुको, different forms of a character. ये है character. इसके forms 1, 2, 3.
हर एक फॉर्म के कैरेक्टर को ट्रेट्स ही बोलते हैं.
इसको बोलेंगे trait, trait, trait.
But not only for I, for all type.
नहीं.
Only for I.
ये एक trait है, ये एक trait है, ये एक trait. तो trait का definition क्या है? Different forms of a character. Trait definition लिख के रखो. Different forms of a character. And what is the definition of alleles? Forms of a gene. Gene कहाँ पे है? Location in the DNA.
I'm different from alternate form.
Same ही है. Different मतलब alternate form. And you get a question. What are the carriers of heredity? अभी क्या लिखना है? कहाँ जाने? किससे मिलना है तुमको? कहाँ जाने अभिषेक? नहीं, मुझे बहुत इंटरेस्टेड है. जानना क्या है तुमको? MLPS है. हम सर चाय पियेंगे, उसके बाद सर जाएंगे. बोलो.
What do you mean by macromolecule?
Big molecule and a complex molecule. Big molecule, complex molecule. ये आया समझ में? Different traits and different alleles. Next class we'll again start from here. The concept of laws we'll have to understand.
ना जाओ. अगर बिहेवियर नहीं तो उसके भी अलग अलग ट्रेट्स होंगे, ऐसा ना.
नहीं, आपको ना मेरे
मैं भी
विरोध है.
चल
क्या होता है?
मुझे लगा
रास्ता मेरा
बोला था क्या?